Welcome to the Fast Mode podcast series. I'm Tara Neil, and with me today is Moutie Wali, Director of Digital Transformation and Integrated Planning at TELUS. TELUS is a world-leading communications technology company operating in more than 45 countries and generating over 20 billion in annual revenue with more than 20 million customer connections through their advanced suite of broadband services for consumers, businesses, and the public sector. Moutie is a seasoned leader with over 20 years of experience specializing in streamlining complex processes through data-driven digital transformation. At TELUS, he has spearheaded initiatives that saved over 7,200 employee hours annually by implementing scalable, low-code platforms and AI solutions. Welcome, Moutie. Great to have you on today's episode.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Okay, so let's dive in. Can you share more about TELUS's Automation-as-a-Service platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe I'll start by saying that at TELUS, my team and I simply have one objective. We want to simplify and digitize the most complex planning and engineering processes across wireless and wireline. And we do this by adopting low-code platforms and developing API capabilities across the board. What we call automation as a service platform it essentially is a collection of different applications that allows us to digitize the workflows across many functional areas. Things about planning, engineering, implementation, across all the different streamlines that allow us to go from inception all the way to in service. And I just want to maybe at the start distinguish between two key areas of automation. Network automation, where there's a lot of focus from different vendors and partners, for example, to automate the network performance, the optimization areas, the KPIs of the network, versus what we call workflow automation. And workflow automation is the scope of automation as a service platform that we're building. And essentially, it looks at the activities that happen outside the network before the first infrastructure goes into service. Things like, as I said, planning, engineering, real estate, and so on. These are complex, usually fragmented processes that exist in most organizations. And it doesn't get a lot of focus and attention because it's very difficult to digitize. And that's the area that we took on, my team and I, to be able to work on digitizing and simplifying and enabling for the organization.
So what you're saying is that automation as a service concentrates primarily on the initial steps, like planning, provisioning, and that, so that then we can move on to the network portion, the management of network and optimization. But does it include both processes?
Yeah, it does, and it actually interconnect these two processes together. But if you look at it, most of the resources in an organization spend their time outside the network provisioning and engineering piece. They spend their time planning, they spend their time doing capital governance or capital planning and financial planning. They spend their time looking at implementation, project management, and execution. And in the past, most of the organization, and TELUS is no different, uses fragmented tools like Excel sheets or various types of tools, including PowerPoints or emails, to track and interchange the data related to these types of processes. Our objective is to digitize the whole cycle end to end and to produce data that allows us to interconnect these different functional areas together.
So that means that, they were already applications. And what you guys do is that you tie up the workflows between these applications so that, it's all automated from beginning to end. Or do you have another application, like an overlay application on this?
No, it's we simply build applications in the same ecosystem. So as I said, we leverage low-code platforms such as Appian, for example, and others. And then we digitize and create sub applications for each functional areas. But all these applications share the same DNA. They share the same data structure. They share the same data fabric. It allows us then to exchange data from one sub application to the other and allow one team to exchange data with the other team without leaving the ecosystem itself. And by doing so, we can find relationship between the data points itself. So what happens when a planning activity with a certain budget evolves through the implementation implementation and execution phase. Did we spend on budget? Did we spend over budget? Can we interconnect the final service integration activity with the original plan and understand how that evolved over time and over the various types of stages of implementation? So these are only possible when you digitize and you find ways to interconnect your own data points. If this was in the past, we would have fragmented data across multiple sources, whether it's Excel sheets or databases that are not able to interconnect and talk to each other, if you will.
Wow, that sounds really awesome, and I think it really facilitates, the entire very cumbersome, tedious processes trying to look up data in different places and stuff, right? So yeah, I think
Hmm.
that's a great step. Okay, so let's move on to the other topic that we wanted to talk about today, which is AI, everyone's favorite topic right now. So
Yes.
as Toulouse looks for toward an AI-driven future, including trials of self-serve analytics powered by natural language processing. How do data
Mhm.
fabric architectures support that?
Well, data fabric architecture is at the core of it. It's the engine that drive our ability to create that semantic layer and that data interconnectivity. In
Hmm.
order for AI to make sense of the data, you need to bring that data together somehow. And data fabric for us is not only about interconnecting the data created by our own applications that we built in the same platform, but also probing and interrogating data in external sources. Things about your ERP system where you have your financial data for accuracy, for example, and single source of truth, your inventory systems where you keep information about the inventory of your equipment and the capacity and the congestion and so on, the element management system that you pull data from. All these are external sources, but you're able to bring them together to the same data fabric layer through the ability to create these probes and APIs to pull the data in. And then you have the data that you create through your own applications, which existed in the past in Excel sheets and emails and PowerPoints. Now they exist in the same digitized platform inside Data Fabric. Once the data is there, the next challenge is to be able to explain what that data is to AI and help AI make sense of it. And in our first or original journey, when we start probing and exploring AI, one of the biggest challenges that we had is we had to invest and we were forced to invest time and effort in metadata. I'm not talking about data structure, whether the data is structured or unstructured, or even if the data is clean or not. These are always challenges that you can overcome. But one of the things that are super important to AI is you need to describe and contextualize the data that AI is looking at. And that means spending time and effort and invest resources in writing down and explaining the data tables, the data structures. What does data represent? Is it planning? Is it financial data? And what type of financial data it is, what's the relationship between that data table and other data tables inside Data Fabric. Once you do that, we start to see significant impact by using natural language AI capabilities. And we just recently enabled something we call Data Fabric Chat. So any user in any application looking at any data set can communicate and interrogate any other data set as long as it is part of Data Fabric through Data Fabric Chat. And that's massive because you can create correlation and insights by cross-pollinating data sets that we did not have access to in the past, or that type of relationship information was not existing in the past, which I'm very excited about. I'm looking forward to more to come on this, but it's extremely promising when we looked at the initial results.
Well, yeah, it definitely is. Like for example, I'm trying to like dive in a little bit more. So if you have an employee and
Mhm.
they now say do some interrogation, using this platform, and then they want to
Yes.
understand, what's happening, like you said, in from their own data and also from the external sources, right? And trying to correlate and find some
Hmm.
insights.
Hmm.
So which
Hmm.
means that you have this built-in AI capabilities, and that AI capabilities are they derived by training on past data? How do you already have that built in? Is it because you recite on so much data?
Yeah, no, the data itself, once you contextualize the data, once you invest in metadata, the learning part is not the difficult part. Even generic
Hmm.
AI capabilities will be able to do the job. But think about it this way, like things like, wireless teams would have their own build capabilities, their own workflows separate from the wireline team. But now I can interrogate the same data set and say, okay, in that community in London, what are we doing in terms of wireless and wireline? You get all the records of all the projects happening at the same time in the same location.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Mm-hmm.
even create relationship between these records because some of your wireless infrastructure build would require space and power and energy in a central office, where the same wireline and fiber build would require some activities happening at the same central office. So now you have the ability to interconnect the data, not just from a geospatial perspective, but also from a logical perspective. This type of insight is great. It's crucial because now you can understand across the organization what are we doing, when are we doing it, what are the different locations when these activities are happening, and start creating things like efficiency where you send the same resource once instead of sending them multiple times. You can create efficiency by reducing the iteration you go through, by doing the planning once for similar activities happening in the same spot. So there's so much capabilities that you can generate by enabling that interconnectivity of data. And it's not data that you have to train new AI models on. Genetic AI models capability now are in such a way that these types of data and workflows are easy to understand and easy to explain once you invest in metadata, and then you can make sense of it and create new insights that way.
Mm-hmm. So, once you have this in place, do you see employees becoming more excited because they are seeing new insights? And do you see, it's driving them to do more, to learn more, to maybe come up with better recommendations? And also, does it create a lot more excitement?
Absolutely, absolutely. And not only for the teams who are developing these capabilities, but the teams that are user of these capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you some examples. Like the planning team is super excited because they are able now to interconnect the data at the planning stage with data at the execution stage. So historical data about execution and actual spend is extremely important to adjust your planning forecast, because now you know that if I put a budget of $10 million for a certain types of build over the cycle of a year or 8 months, I'm able now to link the actual spend that happens on that investment with my original budget. And now I can understand, am I over planning in terms of over budgeting or under budgeting? I can readjust my budget. I understand also the evolution of the activities that I have asked for. Maybe the team in the field faced different challenges that made them adjust some of the requirements that I put forward when I was working on the planning side. So many of these interconnected data points create new insights that did not exist in the past and would help us improve from an
Mm-hmm.
efficiency, from a capital, streamline capability, from financial tracking, from capital governance. It's extremely exciting to find ways to be able to interconnect these data spots, and people are just excited to learn more. And I'm not restricting the information within a certain group or a certain team. I'm allowing marketing team to ask questions about planning or about engineering. I'm allowing project managers to ask questions about planners or financial data. So by democratizing the data, making it available, and creating cross-pollination of data points, the team gets excited to know more about information that could help them improve the rendering and their productivity and the outcome at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that really sounds amazing. And you've mentioned that it is right now in trial. So, how are you defining success, and what would good look like 12 to 18 months from now?
Yeah, this is a great, great question. And success is not just about launching the capability, is measuring how successful that capability is and how impactful it is. There are three key components that we use to measure success when it comes to enabling that AI semantic layer. One is adoption, how many team members are using it, and what type of information or use cases we're implementing. And two is accuracy. Is the data meaningful? Does it provide impactful information? Does it create efficiency or productivity in a way that is measurable and tangible? And three is decision velocity. Does that improve the rending in terms of the cycle time it takes to move from milestone A or event A to event B? And we actually use a specific tangible way of doing this. We have something we call process throughputs or process mining, which is essentially a platform that plugs in into the data in the back end and measure the cycle time between the different events that we have in a system in the automation as a service platform. And it tells us how much improvement are we getting from the before picture to the after picture after applying AI, whether it's AI data fabric chat or AI agents. Did I improve the cycle time? Did I reduce the time it takes from milestone A to milestone B? And by how much? And I can actually measure that throughput of the process improvement and report on it to the executive as one of my measurement of success. But definitely, adoption again is super important. How people are using it, how much they are loving it, the feedback they provide about the tools and the capabilities that we enable through AI. Accuracy, is the data coming back from AI accurate? Is it meaningful? Is it impactful? And then three, the velocity. How much speed are we creating in terms of the cycle time or the time it takes from different milestones or events based on enablement of the AI?
And I'm sure, I'm sure the results will be extremely positive. I mean, these are the tools that we need because of the level of network growth that we are seeing, the many number of services, subscribers, and also the different technologies that we're provisioning and planning. I guess with that much data coming in, tools like this will definitely expedite the decisions and stuff. So I'm also interested to ask another question. Adding on to what you have said. So this is a platform that you guys developed, right, in house. So would it become a solution one day that you would sell outside Toulouse?
Yeah, we're definitely open to this. I mean, TELUS has different sister companies, if you will, and groups at TELUS. TELUS Digital is our consultancy arm. It's our arm that works with external stakeholders, other operators, other ISPs that have similar challenges to TELUS. And definitely, TELUS Digital is one of those center of excellence that allows us to take the learnings that we have done at TELUS internally and try to solve solutions for others using that learning, whether it's the platform itself or whether it's the experience and the way we have done it. As I said, workflow automation is very intrinsic to each organization. So in order to address it, you need to customize some of these capabilities, but definitely the concepts, the modules, the tools that we have built are probably agnostic and portable to others if they're facing similar challenges.
Yep, absolutely. And I guess if not, of course, to other operators, because there will be competitors to enterprises, right?
Right, right.
That you guys already serve. I guess this is really interesting coming from the operator themselves that you have such breakthrough capabilities that would really facilitate similar scenarios. And like what you have pointed out that that there is a high degree of customization that is involved to make sure that
Yes,
nature of business and also the level of data that is required and also the data infrastructure that these guys already have. But I think
exist.
with experience comes a lot of expertise, and I guess you guys are on the right track, and this is really interesting, and we would like to learn more and keep up with the pace that you guys have right now and see the results in the next, like what we said, 1 to 2 years. I guess we'll be hearing a lot more about this. So this is great.
Absolutely, would love to do that. I'm very excited about the solution, and I'm looking forward to see how it will take us to the next level in terms of capabilities. At the end of the day, our objective is simple. We want to build faster, build smarter, and empower our team members with AI-driven capabilities.
Awesome. Well, okay, with that, I guess we are at the end of our session. Thank you so much, Moutie, for joining us today and for sharing your insights on TELUS's AI and automation journey.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tara, for having me. I appreciate it.
And to everyone tuning in, thank you guys for listening. If you want to learn more, visit www.telus.com and follow us for more updates and insights as we continue to uncover the latest in technology and telecommunications. See you in our next session. Bye bye.